And that little girl was me.
Welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Truth to Power. You have me, Dr. Matthews, and then, of course, you have Wendell King. How are you, hon?
I'm great, Dr. Matthews. How are you?
I'm great as well. Yes. I'm just excited.
Me too. How's your week going so far?
You know what? Very productive. You know how I do. And I'm sure the same with you.
Yes, I had my niece, my 4-year-old niece, for a couple of days, and whoo,
Oh, she wasn't playing with you.
she challenged my energy. I thought that I was the energetic one, but she
What?
shut me down.
Really? Well, welcome to my world because I got follow-up.
I don't know how. You know what? I told my friend. I said, my hat goes off to parents, especially single parents, because we went to the zoo, baby. I was begging. I kept saying, "You ready to go? You ready to go?" And she was like, "Let's go ride the train, girl."
Let me tell you what I tell you is, baby. Especially when you got little ones, and then see with me, I have the mixture of the older ones and the middle ones and the little ones. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, baby, it ain't never a dull moment over here. It's always some action going on. Always. I have to always stay on 10. You know what I mean? Only time you get that break and relax and chill is when everybody sleep.
Well, baby, my head goes all the way off to all of y'all. My head goes off.
My husband both be whipped.
Well, it has been an amazing week thus far. And, you know, we are going into this place where we're transitioning back into school, back into work, back into the world. And we're trying to figure out all of the many ways and the different ways that we're going to enter. So we have a very special guest tonight. And I know that you have a little background with our guest also, right?
Yes. We go way back. We used to cut up. Like, it was like we never was at work. You know, the way how we were cut up. So it's, you know, you just never know who's connected to who. You know,
never know.
Good people connects to good people.
Yeah. When I was undergrad, she was actually assistant coach of the debate team at Texas Southern. So I've been knowing her since I was 18, 17, really. I've been knowing her for a very long time, and that is my turtle.
And I knew her, as a matter of fact, in my early 20s.
Okay. Well, I think we might as well bring her on so we can just go and jump in, because this is going to be like family. So we can do this.
And we're all on the same side of town.
North side, north side. This is Jennifer, Jermany.
I brought the tater salad. Cut up. I'm at the barbecue. What y'all doing? Hey. I'm famous now. I'm finally on Truth to Power. It took me a long time to get on the show. I didn't know what I needed to do, you know, but I'm here.
You know, this is her. This is Jennifer Jermany being very modest. This is her being very modest.
This is her that's like on level 1.
Yeah.
Oh, the turn up is real over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jennifer has been, this time last year, I think you were in Asia.
Yeah, I was actually in, oh gosh, where was I? Japan. Yeah, our tour was picked up to travel abroad, and God is so good. The Teachers Only comedy tour, they wanted to see us over there, so it was a really good look. So I enjoyed myself. I think I found me a couple of Japanese husbands, and I just didn't want to come back, baby. Oh no! Sip on that tea. Yes.
Well, I guess we should jump right on in, because that's what this is going to be impact.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Jennifer, tell our viewers about you. We know you.
Well, I'm 45. I'm 45, thick in the thighs, still alive. That's what I am. But I'm a North Side girl. That's from that North Homestead in the building. Went to Smiley High School. Whoop, whoop. No offense to the Jaguars. Attended Texas Southern University, which was an event of my life. TSU made me into the woman I am today. I toured doing comedy. I'm 25. This year, I celebrated my 25th year in education, and still doing comedy, enjoying it, loving it, learning how to do comedy a different way. I had the opportunity to work with 2 years ago Dave Chappelle, which was like I almost died. Mind you, I had met Dave like many years ago when I had to babysit his dogs. He came to Houston and he had these two pretty all white. I don't know what kind of Doberman pinchers these were, and they were so nice. They was like, "Well, we're gonna put them in the office. Jennifer, can you watch them?" I was like, "Sure." And I was like, "They're so nice and pretty." As soon as he walked out the room, those dogs turned into Cujo and tried to eat me. I climbed up on top of the lockers. Dave Chappelle came in. I go, "What you doing up there?" "Your dogs tried to eat me." So it was cool that when I was in LA, he remembered who I was, and he was like, "You the lady that my dogs almost ate." Yeah. So I got to open up for him. Tommy Davidson. I worked with Cheryl Underwood, Bruce. So many people, but the project that I'm the most proud of and I find to be the most inspiring is the one that we started here in Houston with Eddie B, the Teachers Only Comedy Tour, because that took the nation by storm. And when they found out all of us was this color, they didn't know what to do. They were like, one woman almost said it, and I, girl, like, sis, I get you. She was like, I didn't know the show was so colorful. It was colorful, yes. Black people educate and laugh. We know more than penis and vagina jokes. So I'm really excited about that. Uh, COVID messed up a lot of stuff, of course. I was just picked for MTV's ridiculousness. My video that went viral, but it wasn't meant to go viral because I was really trying to get out of a ticket because I was riding with somebody.
Yeah.
And the person that was driving didn't tell us that they was on papers. And they didn't tell us that they didn't call the people to check in and out. So when we got pulled over, they was like, what do we do? And my boobs came to the rescue. I flirted with that white man. That white man forgot about everything. And next thing I know, people are calling me, can we interview you for what? Do you always flirt with cops? Yes, I'm really looking for a husband. I'm really disappointed that he was married. Yeah. But so when MTV called me, at first I was like, who called me from an 818 number? And then when I looked down, you know how you have at the iPhone, it'll read out the voicemail. And it said, this is from MTV. I said, oh, shoot, a check. It's a check. And I called and I was like, so y'all really want to use that stupid video? They was like, this is hilarious. I said, well, okay. So that's scheduled to be on Ridiculousness this season. But you know, COVID is just, right about now we all COVID cuties getting dressed up, no place to go.
Well, um, Miss Jermany, Jennifer, Miss Jermany, if you're nasty.
I'm rock. Shout out to Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B, baby.
TSU. But listen, so I've been knowing you for a very long time. I've had the pleasure of being to many of your shows, many of them. And so I know that you're very, very specific and you're very particular. So do you? And I also want to give you a special shout out because she was a little modest in her when she was talking about herself. But Miss Jermany, we had a student from Aldine District that was like really financially in bliss. He didn't have any financial support, and I'll never forget this. And he talks about it all the time to this day. She got with the comedians at the Improv. It's called the Improv, and they create a scholarship specifically for him that Jennifer architect of. So I know I told you thank you before, but I want to tell you thank you again because
education is power. Education is power. And then for what the kid was going through, because he was a Caucasian, Anglo, whatever they call himself this season student, to go through what he was going through and to have the things to happen to him, to have your parents say, you're not going to that bleep school, that was hard.
Yeah.
And so that made me say, oh, no. Not only am I going to do my part, but I'm going to go above and beyond because I need this kid to see that Black people are good people.
Yeah.
We're intelligent people. I needed him to see something in a different light.
That was a learning moment for his family because Dr. Matthews, what they did was his family cut him off.
Yeah.
He was the number one debater in Texas, number one Lincoln Douglas debater in high school. And he chose an HBCU and they wanted him to go to a PWI. And because he chose an HBCU, they cut him off financially. But I am so excited to say that young man is a proud graduate of Texas University. He's working in London, England, and he is doing quite well. And he is an avid supporter of Texas Southern University.
So what is he doing now?
But do you find it difficult being an educator and still standing true in your comedy? Like, do they ever collide?
Yes, they do. They do. Because, like, when I'm on different tours, sometimes I have to leave school a little early. And the kids got to the point they know, why is Miss Jermany sneaking out the back door with the suitcase? She got a show. Be quiet. Or sometimes I would come in on Mondays a lot late. But I've been blessed because my administrators have been understanding. Not all of them, but for the most part, they have been. But when my kids go online, I love the internet, but I hate the internet because a lot of my things end up on the internet, and my students go and watch them and come back and go, "You said you was a Christian. You said this on TV, and you said that on TV." So it's kind of like, okay, but I'm in the classroom now. We're focusing on education. And I've even had a parent because her daughter plagiarized an entire paper, the whole thing, even down to the part she didn't plagiarize. Really, she just copied. She just printed it out and put a cover sheet and put her name on it. Because on the bottom, it still had all the little, the little encodings on it. So her mom got mad because we proved the baby cheated. She can't. She's gonna have to take this F. She said, "Well, if my daughter has to take this F, well, why is it Miss Germany is on YouTube talking about sex and making jokes and being funny?" And I'm like, "Girl,
Oh,
that's my business." And so my principal at the time was like, "Man, what Miss Germany does after 5 o'clock has nothing to do with us." Did she say anything about the district? Well, no. Okay, then she's fine because that's the one thing. Being the district we covered, just keep the district out of. Because some of my shows are clean, and some of my shows are dirty, and some of them are real dirty. Hmm. So yeah, it's hard, and sometimes, but it works to my benefit because kids know that I'm a comedian, so that is my discipline because they know I will fire up on them in a minute. I said, please don't get a free show because I will give you a free show in this classroom. I will talk about you, your mama, your daddy, and that's why the kids love me. They gravitate toward because this little boy said something about my hair, my wig. I took my wig off. I said, "Nah, you fix that edge up." Then next thing I know, he crying. Why you crying, player? So it's fun. The kids enjoy it. So
you still be firing kids up in the class.
all day. That's the best classroom discipline because see, the bullies like to be in control. But when you take that power and you show them, I'm not scared. Miss German, you fat, but your daddy like it. One day I told this little boy, I said, "Ooh, your mama's so pretty. I need a new girlfriend." He was like, "Stop talking about her like that." I said, "Well, stop talking about me." So, but I don't talk about them all the time, just most of the time. Just most of the time. But it does get hard.
Well, let me ask you this. What are some of your comedian heroes then?
Oh, there are so many. Honestly, I consider myself a student of comedy. Anybody that gets on the stage and can capture an audience, I'm a student of yours. From Bert Williams, he was during the late 1800s, early 1900s. His early stand-up work, Mom's Mabley, Whoopi, I'm a Richard Pryor fan, Carol Burnett, some more, Monique, my girl, Cheryl Underwood, Kelly Kells, Tommy Davidson, who I love forever and always because when he did his show, when they first opened the Houston Improv, which used to be Spellbinders, that's how I got introduced to the club to actually perform on the stage. I was backstage just laughing with Terry and all the gang, and he was like, "So, you think you're funny?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. Give you 5 minutes. I want you to give me funny." I said, "Okay." And so Terry Gross was like, "Hey, you got this, you got this." I'm like, the man from In Living Color told me. I was like, and so I got up there and did my 5 minutes. I killed it, got off stage. Then the show proceeded on. And when he got back on stage, he called me back up. He said, "Where's Jennifer Germany?" He said, "Houston, this is why you have to support your own folks." And till this day, I'm forever grateful for that because for any comedian, whether it's male or female, to give you any kind of props or praise or help is a big deal because it's so competitive. Everybody wants to be number one. Everybody's about self. So to get that, it was a big deal. So, oh yeah. So I'm a fan of everybody's. I don't believe in the white comedy, black comedy. Yes, even though I know it exists, but I always tell people a guy who was a comedian in Houston, he passed away, may he rest in peace, Corey Bailey, said a long time ago. Um, Jennifer, I said, why this thing about it? Because I started out at a white comedy club off of Adair. And so I said, what's this thing about people? You at the last stop, but you're not at Just Joking. I said, Just Joking hasn't booked me. Whenever they want me to come, I'll come. And he was like, Jennifer, don't get caught up in that. He said, let me tell you something. Black people will make you famous. White people will get you paid. And in order to be successful, you have to have both. He said, if you want to cut your funds, get caught up in that black comedy, white comedy, this comedy, that comedy. He said, you want all comedy because that's how you make it. Because when I look at the comedy tour that I did with Eddie B, teachers only, the majority of the audience was 60%, probably 60 to 65, 70% white. Our comedy show started off $20 tickets in the beginning. Then next thing I know, we're at the Smart Financial. I found out people paid $150 to sit front row. I'm like, who the hell? They could have came to my house and sat in my house for $5, and I could have talked to them. So I love all forms of comedy because you learn so much from different people.
Well, it's funny you said that because I know that we tend to say that every experience we have as Black people is a Black experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is we all have to code switch at times. So
Exactly.
we have an audience like what you just said, that 50% or more Caucasian. Do you sometimes have to finagle material or do you just go with what you're playing?
Well, what I do is go with what's playing. Whenever I write material, I start off with the basics, something everybody can relate to. Whether you're black, white, purple, green, everybody got a kid that they don't like. Everybody got into it with the mailman. Everybody got beat up in a fight. Everybody done those things. So you start there and you just build. Now, don't get me wrong. It's easier when the audience is all African American because you can personalize it. I can say the Cool Cup Lady. Everybody know who the Cool Cup Lady is. It's an illegal business in Northwood Manor where she sells cool cups, nachos. She got all and she got a uniform. She come to the door with the phone on the ear, a cigarette, and a hood up, and her scarf on her head. And don't argue with the Cool Cup Lady because she doesn't make her mad. But when I tell it to white people, they don't get the code of it. Hispanic people do. They said theirs is called the Massachusetts something man. That's the person man with the ice. But with white audiences, you just have to explain it. And as you explain it, because they will listen, they're like, "Oh my God, and how much money is she making?"
That is so true, though, when you think about it, because even in the white community, they have the lemonade stand.
There you go.
You're right, though. That I've never thought about it that way, but it's true. We all have the same experiences. It's just that they are different from the way we go about the experience, but they're still the same experience.
And what's crazy is I had one white lady that asked me, "So how do you open up this Cool Cup place? How do you open?" I said, "Well, girl, it's really easy. You just need a deep freezer."
You know, I Cool Cups. I've never liked Cool Cups.
Some fruit cocktails.
And that's it. That's all you need, man. And so, and I was like, this was illegal business that the cops knew about because they would get free stuff too. She said, "Oh my God, and the cops knew? What about the health department? The health department never came by there." No. So you have to explain to white people sometimes, but some of these white folks done got hip.
Yeah.
They're watching a lot of stuff. You can't get nothing past them. You can say, shoot, I'm going to get my bag. They know what that is. I got a bag too. I got a bag right here and it's a bag inside my bag. I'm bag lady. One white lady did that. I died. I said, "Lady, you are so fabulous." But it was cool. But it does get to the point where you do sometimes have to switch it up a little bit. But I love diverse crowds. I love and the reason why I like diverse crowds where it's mixed of everybody is to show a different perspective of Black people. Because when I first started doing comedy, I ain't gonna lie, all I did was tell vagina and penis jokes. Because that's what I said, the men could do it, I can do it too. And I had this guy named Al Freeman. I did a show with him, and he was like, "You are super talented." I said, "Thank you." He said, "But is that who you are?" I said, "What you mean? Are you penis and vagina jokes?" "Well, I love penis, but what you mean?" He was like, "You're an educated Black woman. When people see you, this might be the closest they get to an educated Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're on that stage, you're sending a message about who not only you are, but who Black women are." And it was mind-boggling at the time because at that time I didn't want to receive that. I'm like, "You just hating because I did
You
good."
were young.
I was young and I was getting free drinks. And then one time I had to go back and apologize to him because, like, I was telling penis and vagina jokes, and this one guy after a show talked to me, approached me as the character I was on stage.
Oh.
And I was like, hold up, player, who are you talking to? Well, you said it's golden and da, 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 da. I'm like, those are jokes. Oh, that's not who you really are? No, it's a stage. I'm a character. And then that's when it hit me that there's truth to
Wow.
that. And so at that moment I went back, I said, Al, you are so right. I said, I owe it to my people and myself for them to see I'm a two-time degreed woman. I'm more than just that. So I changed up my style some, but I changed it to being more so to who I really am. I found my voice. A lot of people think in comedy is just getting up there. The more curse words you throw out, that's a great show. No, it's not. It's what is your perspective? What is your viewpoint? It's just like with writing an essay, a great essay. What is your perspective?
Yeah.
A lot of times people get into comedy thinking you just get up there and tell your mama jokes all day. No, and picking on people. No, because what if everybody in that audience is completely perfect and you can't find anything to talk about? What are you going to say? So, code switching, I learned a lot. I learned how to write. I learned how to switch it up for different audiences. And if I know I'm getting ready to do an audience like I did Juan Villarreal's show, who went to Smiley, who's a part of the Latin Kings comedy tour, all Hispanic people. I know no Spanish. But I tried to learn some Spanish for my Spanish folks. I got that. I said, "Cómo está?" And they said, "Como muy bien." I said, "I be in here too." And then they just all fell out laughing. But I made the connection that blacks, Hispanic, we all got the same cultural issues. We all go through the same. So let's all laugh together.
Yeah.
And they love me. Now I'm booked for a lot of Spanish shows now. And I'm going, I know I don't speak Spanish. It's like, it's okay. So it's fine, but when you look at it, we code switch all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you this then. Well, as an expert in comedy, as well as a black woman in comedy, what are your thoughts on the Monique versus Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, before you answer,
Sip. Well, what I'm going to say is this. I would have chosen a different method with how to express myself, but who am I to tell her, who by far is more established than I, how to get your point across? I don't know what level of being ticked off she was, and apparently she was real ticked. And apparently a judge recently just said, let this case go forward. So apparently a judge found some merit in what she said. And what people have to understand, people dogged her for standing her ground, but I admire her because in comedy, just like in corporate America, we have sexism, we have racism. Women don't get paid as much as men. They don't get the same opportunities as men. And then if you're of color, come on now, we know how it is. So somebody, what we talk about in the green room amongst us, she was it's sad to say, as a female, she had the balls to come out and call it out what it is. Now, what I am disappointed with is some of the artists that are friends of hers didn't support her in the beginning. Now, my issue with Netflix is one of the statements they released was, because they were comparing her and Tiffany Haddish, and Tiffany Haddish is my girl, she's a sweetheart, I love her to death. They told Monique the reason why she didn't get the money that they gave Tiffany was because it was based off of the ticket price, the ticket sales of their headlining tour. Okay. Well, at that time this was happening, Tiffany had never done her own headlining tour. So how did you just tell Monique, we're giving you this because we're basing our price off of what you made off of your own headline tour? And at that point, Tiffany had done that. So how did you come up? At that point, we knew it was BS. It's kind of like Netflix. You just should have been honest. Monique, Tiffany's was hot and popping right now, and that's why she's getting it. It's an easier sale. But you tried to finagle your way around it, but what they did not know, that was an intelligent black woman, and she finally said enough is enough. The fact that she stood her ground, and even though she caught hell, she caught backlash from a lot of people, and a lot of uses gave her a hard time. And it was like, well, Jennifer, what do you think? I said, you know what? I'm not going to sit up and act like what she said is not true. I said, I'm also going to sit up here and say that How dare y'all sit up here and criticize and dog her and say these slick things about her? But this is what we talk about in the green room, equality. And she spoke up about it. Now everybody's looking at Monique like she's the bad guy. Now y'all want to act scary. No, 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 no. You stand with sis. Steve Harvey, I love Steve Harvey to death. That's my guy. My friend, I love him to death. But when he took her on television to do that whole let's work it out thing, I felt like that was a show antic to get people to watch the show. Your show ratings were already fine, but to apologize to her and to work that out, that should have been behind the scenes. And one of the things he said on the show, it kind of made me give him the side eye and the nose down. When she said, when Monique made the comment, I'm standing up for my people, I'm standing up for what's right. It's about integrity. It's about this, that, and the other. And one of his comments were, the best thing you could do for poor black people is not become one of them. That made me mad. As a black man, how dare you say that to somebody? That's just like somebody telling Martin Luther King, don't stand up for them black folks. The only thing you need to do is not be one of them dead. Come on.
And you had to draw a line in the sand, because there comes a point in where you have to draw a line in the sand, and it's like everybody is not going to agree with you, but
Sure
the right thing to do.
But you know what? And at the end of the day, they may not agree with you, but they'll respect the fact that you stood your ground. At first, people were trying to blackball Monique and treat her, say all these harsh things about her. But look who's laughing now. When I did the show with Dave Chappelle, how I knew Monique had valid points in her case was when Dave Chappelle on that stage that night, he got on stage and brought up Monique. And his words were, Monique was right. She just wasn't all the way right, but she had some good points. So at this point, because they brought up the comparison to his deal with Netflix, but what people got to understand is, and I think this is where Monique kind of muffled it a little bit, Dave Chappelle sold like 1,500 shows before he had his Netflix deal. Okay? So, that's kind of a different thing. But here's the thing. Monique was still a hot commodity. Netflix, if you didn't want her, then just say, look, Tiffany's was hot. You're older. We're looking for the young and the hot. But
She lost me as a fan. Honestly, she lost me as a fan. I didn't bash her publicly. I will never support her again because she used social media to be a bully. And she tried to force Netflix to do something that I felt she could have handled much better. And then I hate weak people that play hard. It's a rule when you bring everybody into your fight. She compared Chappelle. She compared Chris.
Yep.
She compared the white girl. I forgot her name.
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, Schumer. And then she compared Tiffany. So she was bringing all of these people into her fight. And that irritated me with her. And then she started, I love y'all for free.
And you know what? And that's what Chappelle and I agree. He said she had some points. She was right, but she wasn't all the way right, because you got to ask yourself this, Monique, did you sell out 50? Like when a lot of people thought Chappelle was not working, was gone, and Chappelle was still grinding. He was a road comic. He sold out 1,500 shows with just him.
Yeah.
So, hell yeah, he is worth whatever they're paying him.
And
That's
she just sold out Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
Right.
You got to be careful when you want to bring in comparisons. One thing I learned from the late great Dr. Freeman, when you go in there and fighting your battle, deal with you.
Yeah.
Go in on your merits. Go in on, with your with your merits and what you've done and the reason why. Don't go in comparing.
Yeah.
To me, when she brought in Dave Chappelle, it's like, no, Monique, you can't do that.
It was like everything she said. Like, the black argument went out the door with the black men. The female argument with the females went out with Schumer. So then she said black females, and then went out with Tiffany. So it was like she was running out of things to reach for. But she just with her own self, because people forget that Netflix gave her chance with Blackbird. And they forgot that was completely produced by Netflix.
But
And they gave her chance, and it didn't make no money.
well, let me ask you this. Okay, so what was y'all opinion when she brought in about Oprah Winfrey, like Oprah Winfrey trying
See,
to
now, well, first of all,
like
what
she
I
was
always
reaching
tell
all over the place to me.
what I tell people is this: I am never going to disrespect not one of my brothers and sisters in front of white folks and no other folks for
I'm sorry,
entertainment.
Jermany, can you bring the camera down?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to disrespect black people in front of other folks. I'm not going to do that. So I think that was the point. I was like, Monique, come on now. That's the reason why I said I don't agree with her method and how she conducted herself with it.
But
But
she had a point.
she had some points. Now the Oprah thing, I understand her beef with Oprah. When
But
they
that
were,
was a different situation.
that was a different situation. So
Lee
here,
Daniels and Oprah and Tyler Perry.
yeah. So her and Oprah had some other things. You bring out my personal life and want to discuss it and bring my family on your show and make me the topic. I'd have the issue with you too. But I don't think she was so. Sometimes it pays to, even in your moment of anger, to settle down and think.
Yeah,
Think this through, because eventually you're going to need Oprah.
yeah.
Eventually you're going to need the backings of a Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And do I think Tyler Perry forgave her probably before Oprah?
Well, she married a homegirl, and the homegirl was giving her bad advice. That's my opinion.
Well, and you know what? That
She got to marry a homeboy, her homegirl.
exactly.
She gave her a lot of bad advice.
And as women in the industry, because dating in the industry is hard. Men, they scared of female comics because they don't want to be the next joke on the stage. And I have made tons of them jokes. All right. But you got to be careful of who's in your corner.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can let people talk you out of opportunity. So whenever I date, I let them know, look, in this arena, I run this. I don't need you to. I broke up with a whole guy that went to LA with me when I did the female comics rock convention. And he told the people at the comedy store that he was my manager. And he picked up my coins. Baby, when I tell you, it took all of the North Side to settle me down, because I was like, how dare you do that? I just was like, ooh. And you know what? By the time we got back to Houston, I'd already called Uber. He was like, I'm taking you home. No, I got an Uber. I can't take you home. No, because at this point we're not gonna work out, because you stepped into a lane that you're not supposed to be in. And a lot of times, guys that date you, they want to come in. Let me help you. If you want to help me set up the display. Help me sell the merchandise. I don't need.
I work the table.
I work the table. Yeah.
Trying to collect a check on my name.
Not only did he collect it, he opened it and counted.
Oh.
You got paid? Whoa!
Well, I know how you are about your coins.
And no, let me tell you something funny. The first time I ever got paid for doing a show, I didn't know, because I started up doing comedy. It was just fun, free drinks and get to meet people. I didn't know, and this is where a lot of up and coming people mess up, because I made the same mistakes. This is a business.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business. It's the business of funny, but it's a business. So I was doing all these shows and I'm drinking, because it's the comedy, you get the free drinks. So this white guy named Mark Babbitt, all the comedians in the industry call him Santa Claus. Because when you get ready to work for him, he overpays you. And whatever you need, he got you.
Oh, good Santa Claus.
Woo-hoo. And so I just did a show for him. He started this show called Brassy Broads. And I was on the show, then all of a sudden, he walks over to me and said, "Here, Jennifer, this is for you." And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't drink too much alcohol. They're going to make me pay for it. It's a bill in here. And I opened it, and it was a check. I said, oh my God, what kind of woman do he think I am? I thought he was soliciting sex. I didn't know. At that point, I'd never been paid. I was like, oh my God. So I walked over to this man and said, I don't know what kind of bleep bleep you think I am, but I don't put out, especially for this amount of money. He was like, Jennifer, that's your check for performing. I said, oh.
Well, let me ask you, Jennifer, how difficult has it been working and performing in the midst of a pandemic? Because it's been a minute now. This has been since March.
Terrible. March shows canceled. April shows canceled. May shows canceled. June. Oh, we gotta go to Jeff Shelley's house. He has like the studio in the back of his house where we had to go in one at a time to record. So we're finding out that you have to make a way.
Wow.
So it's a lot of and you think, and I always consider myself the little guy. Even the bigger guys are having problems. When I look at, I read an article not too long ago about the people, like Gabrielle Union and all these people that are part of the Saks Union. If they're not making any movies and they're not doing any shows, you're not making any money. But your union will give you about a little over $5,000 for the year. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's what you get. So a lot of people, like I hear a lot where it used to be some actors and actresses and all that had issues with YouTubers and bloggers. Now they've become YouTubers and bloggers. So we're finding ways. I did my first show. We recorded one by one, and we recorded it and we sold it as if it was like a DVD. You got your ticket and you had access to air and watch it. Now I'm doing a lot of Zoom comedy shows. And it's awkward because if they put everybody on mute, you can't hear them laugh.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, hey, if it's funny, hit the hand clap button or something. Tell me something. Because other than that, you just talking, you're like, I don't even know if these people laughing or not. But they drinking, so it got to be funny. So it's a lot difficult, but we're making it work the best way we can because COVID seems like it's going to be here for a minute.
Yeah.
And so, it's the
norm. That's
so you got to be creative with doing that. And I think I'm not the most creative person when it comes to technology, but it has forced me to learn to become technology savvy.
Right.
Because it used to be this long debate: internet comics versus live stand-up comics. Oh, internet comics, you had some that felt like the ones who did live shows that was old and antiquated. Then you had the live ones that do live shows going, y'all have never performed in front of an audience. I mean, it was this big, huge, it was like getting really ugly. I said, but if you look at it, we both need each other. If you're an internet comic and you start on the internet, that's great. But you're going to have to if you're going to call yourself a stand-up comic, not a comedic actress or actor, but if you're going to be a stand-up comic, you're going to have to get in front of a live audience. Because let me tell you, being in front of a live audience and a taping is two different things. And for my stand-up comics who are doing live performances, in order to reach the audiences that these internet comics have gained, you're going to have to learn to get on the internet. So it's both, you can be a funny internet comic and not be funny in real time on the stage. And you can be funny on real life stage and not be funny on the internet. So it works both ways, but we need that clash. We need each other because really the internet comics really open the door to show us how, when there's not a stage, make a stage.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And you know what? I am so glad that you kind of like broke this down, for us and the viewers, for us to actually, look into, this is what you guys actually do. And then on top of that, for us to be able to differentiate from this. So, which goes to my next question. So have you started thinking about future shows in case, this pandemic continues? Like what is your plan of action? What do you plan on doing?
Well, I started a podcast called Teacher to Teacher. It's for the real teachers. It's where teachers can get together and we can speak honestly, speak our truth, give ideals. It's also almost like therapy. Because I always when I love to see the new teachers. You know what it's like, Dr. Matthews. You see that new teacher come in, they've learned everything from Texas A&M, and they think they know all the black children, and next thing you know, they run out the door.
Everybody.
Oh my God! They didn't tell me they act like this. Oh my God! I was called a B today. That's your new name. So it's a place where we gather and we talk ideas like the whole idea of coming back to school. Our first show was dealing with getting COVID ready. Are you ready to go back to school? I don't think anybody should physically be going to nobody's school. I thought it was humiliating when some districts sent out a notice about a webinar on how to prepare your living will. What kind of welcome back to work is that? I want to help you prepare your living will, and we had let teachers, but vent out how they felt. Lieutenant Governor, as he said at this funeral I was at, I just really wanted to reach over and just choke him out. This man said there's bigger things to do and better things to do than living. I'm like, what the hell is it? Tell me, enlighten me. I just want to know. So we're doing that, and it's working out really great. A lot of my, and because we haven't been toured, a lot of my fans from like the East Coast, oh, I love the show, and so it's been really positive. Then also, I'm in the process of writing a book. I haven't figured out the title yet, but it's my journey as I'm journeying into womanhood. I'm finding out a lot about myself and what people depict a strong Black woman to be is a lot of pressure, and it deals with my struggles with dealing with the fact that I can't have children. And when Dale can attest to this, one of my doctor's appointments was really horrible. And I had been fighting it, and people look at the images of Black women as really strong, independent. We got it. We don't need nobody. And they look at us as these sexual demons that can produce babies at a sneeze. Nobody ever imagines that Black women can actually struggle with infertility. Yeah. And fibroids took everything out of me. One thing I've always wanted to be was a mother. But after surgery 12, that the hospital screwed up and I almost died, came out with a colostomy bag, had to deal with that, go back. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
And I never thought there would be a time when I would think about suicide.
Oh,
because you go in, and I'm that laughing person. I'm that jovial person. And, a lot of people, I didn't realize how much people depended on me to be that joke of life. And at that moment, I saw how important comedy was to me, because when you can't laugh, when I couldn't laugh, I was like, I don't want to be here. A friend of mine who I love to death, and my comedian friends really rallied around me, and I found out who my real friends were, to roll over in that bed and see Wendell looking at me. And me and him just had a big falling out. But he was there. That's a friend. I hadn't even told him that I was in the hospital. But when I rolled over, all I could remember saying, Wendell. I went in at 158, 59 pounds. After one surgery, I was 115. I went through body imaging issues. It was just horrible. And so I thought I was alone. But I come to find out there are other Black women that were struggling with the same thing I was.
Yeah.
Another comedian, she was dealing with the same thing. She had to have a hysterectomy, and she was like, Jennifer, I'm feeling like I'm less of a woman. I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling like that. I said, I've been there, because I felt the same way. Because it's like, to be a woman, I need to be able to do all womanly things, and I couldn't. To produce a baby, that's what I could do, because it messed up your dating life. And so I went through a lot. But once I got to a point where I had 3 therapists, I had to fire 2 of them because it just was not going to work out. One of them was treating me like I was a 504 kid, a 713 kid. I don't know. One of them sounded like she was high. And then the other one, she had more problems than me. Going through that, and I finally got a therapist that really worked with me. And she was like, it's okay to admit that you're not okay. Yeah. Some of my female comic friends, Stacey Anderson, I love her to death. I cried every day. And she said, I'm going to take you to a comedy club. And this get you. Now, mind you, I have a colostomy bag on. And she was like, you just need something to get you loose. We go to the bar. She's giving me Hennessy. Just drinking it. Just drink. Now, if you guys don't know anybody, anything, it comes right back out. It's just in this little bag. And that Hennessy was feeling warm, and it was feeling warm coming out that little bag. And she was like, just keep drinking it, and you'll forget it's even there. And I'm like, no, because I feel it coming out. But a great friend named Derek Keener, and I always credit Derek Keener for saving my life because I couldn't stop crying. We was at the Horn, and he said, and Ali, oh my gosh, Ali was like, I heard you've been sick. I was like, yeah, it's been rough. He was like, I gotta go take care of this, but me and you need to talk. I said, okay. Derek Keener walked over to me. He gave me a hug. He said, sis, you're gonna be okay. I said, Derek, it's so hard. Now, mind you, they started the show. Derek was a headliner. Derek backstage in this area where we're talking. And he said, you know what? No. He said, it was close time for him to get ready to go on stage. He said, we're going to pray.
Wow.
He was supposed to have been getting on the stage. But Ali had to do extra time. But he was back in the back room praying with me because I just felt like I can't do this. I just cannot do this. To find out that you're never having children. The hospital made a mistake and almost killed you. I had to give 12 units of blood, 8 bags of white blood cells to go through all of that, and then to come to watch comedy, my passion, and couldn't laugh. I couldn't take it. So my book is about my struggle, but how I overcame it, and to let Black women know, and just women of all colors. And I'm not going to just say that it's just for Black women, but Black women, we need this. It's okay to say, I'm not okay. It's okay to go get help. If you can't have a child, that means your vagina is no better or no worse than the next person. Okay? And so it was some laughable moments, like my student snuck into the hospital and almost went to jail. I don't know how these kids got into this hospital because I told them I would be back in 6 weeks, but I didn't come back. I was in the hospital the first time with surgery 12. I was in there a month and a half, got out 6 months later, had to go back. So I told my kids, I'll be back, and I didn't come back. And then, when you get to telling your administrators, your mama tell your administrators what happened, the word kind of slipped out. And so some of the kids heard that I was in trouble and that I was dead. And they showed up at the hospital. And I was half asleep, and I remember hearing voices. And it was saying, Big Germ, I think she over here. And first thing I thought was, oh, God, I'm in the upper room. I'm doing horses and ain't nobody here. And then those kids stuck their heads in their door and said, Big Germ. I said, yeah. And I watched 8 kids walk into a room at 8:35 when you're supposed to get out the hospital. And a nurse walked in and she was like, they can't be here. I said, please. And they stayed and I ended up having to find everybody ride home. But it made me feel differently about being a mother. It made me understand that I wasn't meant to birth a child, but I could still be motherly to a child. But I went through some stuff.
I I remember the pivoting moments for you. Like I saw you in a completely different way during that time, and I remember crying to my grandmother about you because there was nothing that I could do. And I'll never forget the time because Jennifer didn't drive on the freeway back in the day. She always had a car, but she did not drive on the freeway. Mama was not getting on no freeway.
That's not.
She asked me to drive her to her doctor's appointment on this particular day. And I would never forget sitting out there and I just heard her screaming and I started hearing you screaming my name and they let me go back there. So I just saw you in a completely different light on that day because you were no longer just funny, Jennifer.
It was serious.
Human. You were the human being, Jennifer Jermany, that your job wasn't to make everybody else feel good. It was time for other people to make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important. I think
you know what? People may not get it. When Robin Williams committed suicide, comedians go through a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we're joking on stage, a lot of times that's therapy with getting it out.
And it's mad.
It is. And when you get to the point where you could, at one point I couldn't talk about the situation. But when it got to the point I could talk about it and get on stage and talk about it, I could tell my healing had begun.
Yeah.
Put everything on the stage. And so I always tell people, the art of comedy is not for everybody. It is not.
Yeah.
It is a business, and it's a business not for everybody. But as I pivot to this, I want to say this. We need to get out and support Black comedy. In Houston, we used to have Black comedy clubs. We don't have one. Now, just joking, okay. They've had some customer service issues all the time. I mean, when the city say you can't open, you can't chop the locks off the thing and go open up. You can't do that.
What was the other spot? You used to go to a spot like in Sunnyside.
Oh gosh. That's when you just used to do comedy. It was like the clubs would just do comedy.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a place. But I didn't realize how important just joking was. All the greats in comedy came through just joking. So for me to get that opportunity to perform at just joking was an honor because it made you realize, is this what you really want to do? Are you sure? It separated the men and women from the boys and girls. But if you look in Houston right now, ask me, how many comedy clubs do we have in Houston? I would say we have 1.5. The Houston Improv, and then we have the Secret Group. And that's not per se a club. Anybody can rent it. As big as Houston is, and as many comedians as it is, everybody can't get on the stage at the Improv.
Yeah.
And another thing, and I just want to give out advice for people who are thinking about going into comedy. Professionalism is a key. I cannot stress this enough. It's a business. One of the things when I got ready to perform at the Comedy Store and at the Improv that night with Dave Chappelle, D. Ray was the host, so I felt like I was a celebrity. One of the first things they're going to ask, are you in good standings with the Houston Improv? That's what the Improv in Hollywood said.
Wow.
Oh yeah, they want to know your record. Because if you're not in good standing with the one in your city, you can hang up going to the Hollywood Improv, the Tampa Improv, anywhere where improv is, you can hang it.
That's their brand.
It's exactly. They don't want any trouble. Have your stuff together. Listen to when you are blessed to get a featured performance or opener or something like that. Be gracious. Say thank you. Because a lot of people don't do that. Michael Blackston came to Houston, and a good friend of mine, Big Spike, who's like the Black King of comedy in LA. If you don't know who Big Spike is, you need to learn. And also, he's a graduate of Prairie View A&M. Yeah, he has an engineering degree and, and a master's in engineering and 22 years doing comedy at the Improv. He's always telling us this is a business. Stop looking at it as the perks. You get to meet people and no, this is a business because it's easy to get messed over in the business. Keeping your name clean, staying on top of your promotional stuff. Learn how to do some stuff on your own. Network. I had one comedian that made me so mad because he came to Houston. He drove from Galveston. And it was open mic. This man felt as though they was like, well, we don't have any more spaces on the open mic list. He said, well, put me on with the professionals. They said, well, who have you worked with? What makes you a professional? He sat up and looked at us and said, I drove all the way from Galveston to come here. Oh, y'all gonna put me on. I said, son, you're not gonna make it. Hush. What you mean, hush? I'm trying to save you before your mouth write a check your behind can cash.
Ah!
You a newbie. There was times I wouldn't get on stage till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. You have to pay your dues. If you're not willing to pay dues, you don't need. This is not for you. Then also, and I kid you not, your headliners. When you're working with headliners, you will have a headliner that will come to you and say, "Hey, are you doing any jokes about fat girls doing roller skating moves?" Oh, well, yeah, I have some jokes like that. Oh, don't do them because I got to sit down.
They're making sure you don't do that stuff.
Exactly.
Miss Jermany.
Material. Oh, it's so much.
Miss Germany, you have just been like so refreshing. I'm so
Yeah.
excited that we were able to get you on. And Dr. Matthews, we have to figure out another time. I think
Yes,
we should
because I
go
mean,
for topics one Tuesday.
I know. You know what? You know that would be a good idea. Oh my God.
Cause I got a better story when a comic slid into my bed naked. Oh yeah, sexism. You
Oh,
got honey.
we definitely got to get you back.
You know what?
So,
You gotta come back.
When I embarrassed him, baby, I said, first of all, if that's all you have, you should have stayed over there.
That girl
Really? Bye bye. I went to Smiley.
well, look, Miss Germany, Jennifer Germany,
still.
I have loved you being on here tonight. This has
Yes,
been a great
absolutely.
night. Dr. Matthews, what say you?
Well, first of all, it's just refreshing to see an old friend, number one.
Woo!
And then just to hear her journey from the time that we met and, for things that's happening for her, and then especially the highs and the lows. And I just want to say, I just want to give you, as a Black woman to another Black woman, baby, you keep shining.
Yes.
Keep it, honey. You keep the fight going because that's what it's about. And we love you.
I love you back.
Well, love you so much, Jennifer Germany. Thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, me and Dr. Matthews have to bring you back on a
Oh
hot
yeah.
Tuesday to get it popping.
Yes.
Oh yes, please do.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Okay, and I want to send a shout out. Shout out to two of my students that I taught that are actually doing comedy. That
Oh,
damn Monty, whoop whoop. Oh my God, I was so proud. Then I have another student that I taught at Houston Community College who's actually the CEO of She's Happy Hair, Mr. Marcus Bowles. I taught him so.
Marcus is doing comedy now?
Yes. Oh, baby, he was doing comedy before he opened She's Happy Hair. I remember he told me I'm getting into this hair business.
Yeah,
I said,
because
what kind of
now with Warren, him and Warren,
Yeah, but Marcus is stiff.
baby? When he
but
told
him
me
and Warren,
this.
they,
Oh yeah,
Warren, I love Warren. He's
yeah.
Shoes happy hair, my head, baby.
He's
yeah.
awesome. And whenever I need him to do something for my kids or come give a word of inspiration, he's always there. And I'm so proud. And I remember when he told me, he said, "You inspired me to get on stage." I said, "What you say now?" And to Jonathan Simmons, who played in the NBA, that's my student too. Woo woo! I love my kids.
Well, Jennifer, we're gonna have to let you go, but thank you so much, and we do look forward to bringing you back for a Hot Topics Tuesday. We're gonna get with you on that.
Oh, please do, because I got some hot topics.
Okay.
Love you.
Bye. Oh man, Wendell.
Yes. Well,
Refreshing.
it was. Well, we are stuck with time. We're stuck. We're running from time, but it's been great, Dr. Matthews. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
I hope you do
And
too,
it's been
Wendell.
so great. It was so refreshing. I'm so happy that she shared. She was transparent, and I loved
Very
it.
transparent.
I loved it. So, do you have a poem? Do you have a quote for us tonight?
I sure do. And it says, "My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be humans together." Desmond Tutu.
Wow. Can you read that one more time?
Yes, my humanity is
Yeah.
bound up in yours, for we can only be humans together.
My
Desmond
favorite, my favorite saying, we are all indirectly connected to each other. If you fail, I fail. And
Absolutely.
with that being said, we hope that everyone have an awesome weekend. Dr. Matthews, I hope you have a great weekend.
I hope you do too, Wendell.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And as always, if you're not speaking truth to power, you are not fighting the power.
Mm,
Uncut.
thank you.
Have a nice weekend, guys. Don't forget, follow us, share. Follow
Yeah.
us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Go to all of our platforms, share, and like. And on YouTube, if you don't mind just taking a little moment to subscribe, and all will be well.
And shout out to our producer, Dr. G. Y'all love our new deal we got going here?
Dr. GL, and he plays no games.
And that little girl was me.